Today's readings talk about special people. You know, the insiders. Every group has them. No matter what club or organization you belong to, there's always the in crowd. Church is supposed to be different. Church is not supposed to be about the in crowd. Church is supposed to be about communion and community. Church is supposed to be about relationship among us and with God. Church is not supposed to be only about the scribes who like to go around in long robes and accept greetings in the marketplaces. That is, church is not supposed to be about clerics, and it's certainly not supposed to be about clericalism. Different times and different cultures have different practices. So when we learn in today's reading from the book of Hebrews that the high priest was the only one allowed in the sanctuary, perhaps we can understand, even appreciate the ways of the ancient world. But I wonder how those types of barriers might apply today. I mean, do they? Is the cleric the only one allowed near the sacred? Of course not. We are all part of the liturgy, and some of us play a special part in it. It's altar servers, lectors, cantors. So whose church is it? Let's go back to today's gospel. If Jesus was warning us about the scribes, the teachers of the law, what was Jesus saying about clericalism? Recall that in today's reading from Mark's gospel, Jesus warns us about those scribes who always took the seats of honor in synagogues and places of honor at banquets. Somebody let those scribes sit up front. Somebody decided that what those scribes represented, the law, was most important in the community. Somebody ignored all sorts of biblical teaching to place the law and the enforcers of the law above everything else. Somebody said the law was most important in the scheme of things, and Jesus was not happy about it. Then Jesus explains. It wasn't really about what they were wearing, or maybe even about their professions. Jesus was really interested in something else. Mark tells us that after speaking about the scribes, Jesus sat down opposite the treasury, the ancient collection box, watching some people put in a lot of money. Then Mark relates, a poor widow came forward with 2 small coins. She put in all she had. Mark tells us Jesus says she contributed her whole livelihood. What's the connection? How do these 2 stories match up? We have 3 different sets of people here, the scribes, the rich donors, and the poor widow. First, Jesus warns us about the scribes. Then Jesus points out the very rich give only from their surplus funds. Then Jesus seems to say the poor widow is the person we should admire, but why? Simply, the scribes have professional status and the rich people have money, but the widow has no one to depend upon but God, and she is not putting her 2 coins into the treasury to buy any sort of celestial insurance. She's putting her 2 coins in to share what little she has with the rest of her community. She's putting her share in the treasury because she belongs to the group, because she's part of the people of God. I do not think this means that you need to put your last nickel into the collection basket. I do think it means that you need to understand and believe that no matter how you participate in church, you are full members. You don't need to be a cleric or a teacher of the law or a millionaire to belong to the people of God. You are the people of God. That's what I think. For sure, every group, every organization needs its structure. Each creates for itself leaders, rulers, rules, and boundaries. And every organization depends on its supporters to carry on. But every organization needs to allow everyone the privilege of participation in whatever way they can. The church, our church, your church, has leaders, rules, and boundaries, as I said. And I think it's that the leaders must continually learn from the others. Hierarchy, and I admit all clerics are part of the hierarchy. Hierarchy cannot cut itself off from the rest of the people of God. Hierarchy, from the deacon to the priest to the bishop to the pope, is part of the people of God. And saying hierarchy is part of the people of God is not just another way of controlling the church. It means we all belong. If we mean that, if we mean that we are all part of the people of God, then we need to realize what today's reading from Hebrews teaches. Christ did not enter into a sanctuary made by hands, restricted and accessible only to special people. No, Christ came into our sanctuary, the world, and his suffering and resurrection were for all. So too, for all of us, is access to Christ's redemptive grace, here, today, and every day. And it will be the same again tomorrow and the next day and the next, because we are all equal members of the church.